Well, Bayern Munich has won all four of their matches since the return of the Bundesliga, and it's Bayer Leverkusen that will try and end that recent winning streak on the part of Bayern Munich, as I'm joined by Jeff Blair and Dan Riccio. Jeff, is this maybe we keep sort of looking for teams to maybe challenge Bayern? Is this one of the remaining opportunities? If anyone can catch the team that's leading the Bundesliga, this might be it.
Yeah, I think this is kind of the last gasp here. And even if Bayern does lose, I can't imagine them losing the title here. But look, they're facing a team that is kind of one of the fancied teams in the Bundesliga. They're a team that has definite ambitions in the Champions League. I think they're a team, frankly, that will be really good next year. But look, Robert Lewandowski is what? He's got 5 games to get 11 goals and get Gerd Muller's record for most goals in a season. He's somehow going to get 12 or 13, and he might get 3 in this match. I just think that we're at the point right now where that alone will be enough to carry Bayern the rest of the way through.
Yeah, they've been incredible. And we talked about this on the radio show on Monday, Jeff, but their dominance is just a pleasure to watch. The way that they play, the way that they, essentially modern day total football, where pretty much everybody on the field is willing to take up any position on the field. And you see that with Davies all the time. You see it with their center backs, David Alaba, whoever it may be. They'll jump all over the place, and we see it from many different goal scorers over these last few weeks since they've come back. And I think if you're looking ahead to the Champions League when it returns in August, Bayern Munich has to be the favorite right now, especially with Liverpool out of the picture. And the other big storyline in this game is Kai Havertz, who has been rumored to go to Bayern. He's been rumored to go to England. He's maybe the biggest or one of the biggest players out on the market this year. Can he keep scoring? He's been linked or compared to Zinedine Zidane. He's only 20 years old, already has 35 Bundesliga goals. He's one of the stars of the league and one of the future stars that we'll see dominating for Germany at World Cups.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I'm just going to interject here for a minute. One of the things I find really fascinating about this Bayern team is if you read some of the German press, if you listen to some of the German commentary, a lot of people are saying this might be the most likable Bayern team in some time. I mean, they are a juggernaut. They're like the Yankees. No one necessarily likes Bayern, but I think people are enjoying, to Danny's point, the football they're playing. And I think they're really excited by the fact that Thomas Muller seems to have been reinvigorated playing in this system. He's basically been given the freedom of the pitch. And that, if you're looking down the road for the German national team, is a pretty positive, is a pretty positive development, because that's a team that's in a little bit of transition right now. And man, if Thomas Muller is motivated and enjoying his football the way he is right now, he's just a pleasure to watch.
Yeah, he certainly seems energized since his and the entire Bundesliga's return from the break. Dan, Borussia Dortmund, it wasn't that long ago they were in a match versus Bayern, maybe pushing for the top of the table. That doesn't look likely. What is it that they're sort of playing for when it comes to making sure they can kind of secure themselves among the top 4 clubs?
Yeah, I think that's the sneaky storyline here through the last couple of matches of the season. Dortmund is not out of the woods when it comes to securing a Champions League place. You have Leipzig right there. They've got a match against cellar dweller Paderborn this week, so you expect 3 points from them. Gladbach and Leverkusen are right on their heels as well. Dortmund cannot let their foot off the gas, and we saw them have a pretty lackluster first half last week, but they picked it up, obviously, in the 6-1 win eventually in that second half. But Jadon Sancho, all their players, they really have to keep it up, because a couple of more missteps and, this is going to be a real tight race for those Champions League places.
Jeff, what's happened to Schalke? What's happened to them? We discussed teams that have come out of the break, or players like Thomas Muller who look energized. They look the opposite. What's your sense of what's going on?
Well, I'll tell you, I don't think there's anybody in the Bundesliga that is as happy that the stadiums are closed as David Wagner is, the Schalke coach. Because if that place was full, they would be clamoring for his neck right now. They're winless in 11. They played Werder they had 18% possession in the first 12 minutes of that match. Do you know how hard that is to do against Werder in particular? They had 18% possession a couple of games ago. This is something Jose Mourinho did every now and then, but he substituted a defender for a striker so he could get a little more height up front. I mean, it's like he's grasping at straws. And as I said, if the stadiums are open, I mean, they're in a no man's land right now. They're not going to go down. They're not going to go up, but there's just such dissatisfaction with the way they play. His star has fallen so much. When you think at one point this guy was considered to be one of the next great German managers, he was in the Premier League. Everybody was crediting him with being this tactical mastermind, getting the best out of limited players, and he just looks lost. He looks lost out there, and his team reflects that on the pitch.
Well, Jeff, you mentioned Werder, and Dan, Werder Bremen they're in tough here when it comes to relegation. They've won the Bundesliga 4 times. What do they have to do to at least have a chance to stay in the top flight and maybe sometime in the near future have a chance to win it again?
Well, they're going to need Davy Klaassen to go on a pretty big run here. The Everton flop has been maybe their most consistent player this year, but they're in tough. They're going to be a really, really big hill to climb coming out of this after the loss. Not impossible. They've done well enough coming back from the break that they've made it a bit of a race, but they don't have much more ground to give up. Wolfsburg is going to be very difficult this weekend, and that other spot with Fortuna Düsseldorf is also up for grabs. The relegation race, Eintracht Frankfurt really got out of it, but Werder Bremen, that was a tough loss for them to swallow, and that's going to be a big storied club, probably playing in Bundesliga 2 next year.
Yeah, and unfortunately for them, Gene, I mean, they're really on the clock right now. Their final match is against Bayern. And again, I wish them all the best if Lewandowski's sitting 2 goals away from a record or something like that. Danny's right. This will be a shame if they go down because in a lot of ways, they're a historic club. People like them. Their fans it's a good fan base. They really don't deserve to go down, I think, when you look at their history, but man, they're up against it right now. And they've been okay since the Bundesliga started up again. But I think the loss that was a big setback. If they'd won, I would be prepared to give them a shot at getting out of relegation, but it's not happening right now, I don't think. And that's a real shame.
They've only been relegated once, 1979, 1980. They finished 17th in the Bundesliga table. We'll see where they finish and whether they're relegated for a second time in 2019, 2020. Jeff, Dan, appreciate the insight. Enjoy the matches.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gene.